Oh, hello boys and girls. You've caught me looking at some of my old baby photographs. Would you like to see them? There I am as a little baby. I'm sure you've noticed that I have changed quite a bit since then. Yes, I've definitely grown up since being a little baby. I wonder if you have any photographs that you like to look at when you were a lot younger. And I'm sure you've changed quite a bit as well. Maybe you've gotten taller, maybe your hair has gotten longer, or maybe changed colour. And I'm sure you can do a lot more things that you maybe didn't used to be able to do. Maybe you can tie your shoelaces now. Maybe you can eat by yourself. Maybe you're going to school now all by yourself. Yes, I'm sure you have changed quite a bit since you were a baby. Today, we are going to learn a little bit about God's promise for us. God makes a promise that He will never change. That means He stays the same forever. And that can seem a little bit strange to us, because if we look around us, everything seems to be changing. Think about a little caterpillar. What does a caterpillar change into? It turns into a beautiful butterfly. It changes completely. Think about going outside for the day. The weather can change so many times. It can be sunny one moment, and then it can be raining the next. Think about yourself. You've changed going from P1 to P2, or maybe from P4 to P5 in school. In the Bible, which is God's book, we get His amazing promises to us. And we find out more about this amazing promise. It says in Malachi chapter 3 verse 6, "For I, the Lord, do not change." Wow! God does not change. People change, things change, sometimes change can even be scary and it can make us worried. But when it comes to God, we don't have to worry because He does not change. He is the one thing that we can count on. God does not change. Isn't that wonderful? God doesn't change ever. This means we can completely trust Him, completely rely on Him, and we don't need to be worried. And that means, boys and girls, that all of His promises that He gives to us in the Bible, they are not going to change either. So when God says that He loves us, that will stay the same forever. When God says that He cares about us, that will also stay the same forever. His love for us will also never change, and that's a great thing to know. Even if lots of things change around us, even if we change, God always loves us, and He always will stay the same. It also says in the Bible, in the book of Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8, Jesus Christ, who we know is God's Son, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That means that right now, Jesus is exactly the same as how He was when we found out about Him in the Bible, when He loved all of those people and when He came to save all of those people. He's exactly the same then, He's exactly the same now, and tomorrow He's going to be exactly the same. And all of the days into the future, He's going to be exactly the same. He's never going to change either, and His love for us is never going to change either. That's amazing. That's a fantastic promise to really hold on to and to really remember. God doesn't change, and Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm going to tell you a quick story that shows you this promise of God for us. It shows us that people change, but not God. And God's good news never changes either. 2 weeks ago, when we were having Bounce online, Hannah told us a very special story about a man called Zacchaeus. I hope you remember that story, boys and girls. I'm going to just go through it very, very quickly, and then we're going to have a very quick quiz as well. So, first of all, Zacchaeus was known for being a cheater. He was a tax collector. He took money off people, but he didn't do it fairly. He cheated people so that he could get more money and he could get very rich. He loved being rich more than anything else. And when Jesus came to town one day, Zacchaeus wanted to see him. So, since he was a very small man, he climbed up a sycamore tree so that he could look over the crowd and he could see Jesus below. Jesus approached Zacchaeus and told him to come down from the tree because he was going to come to his house. The people in the town couldn't believe that Jesus was spending time with this sinner, this cheater. But when Zacchaeus met Jesus, Zacchaeus changed. He told Jesus that he wasn't going to take money from people anymore or cheat them out of their money. Instead, he was going to pay them back. He would pay everybody who had stolen money from him, and he would give half of all of his things, all of his money, to the poor. He has completely changed. Jesus responded by saying that Jesus had come to seek and save the lost. Okay, we're going to have a quiz and see how you get on with this story. I've gone through it very, very quickly. I hope you remembered it from Hannah's telling during Bounce. But let's see if we can have a little bit of a quiz together. First question is about Zacchaeus. Here we go. Who was Zacchaeus? And there's going to be a few answers on the screen. Was he a lawyer, a doctor, a tax collector, or a servant? Who do you think he was? You can call out which one you think he was. Let's see if you're right. He was a tax collector. Well done if you got that right. He collected the taxes of all the people. Question 2. What type of tree did Zacchaeus climb up? I mentioned it a wee moment ago. Was it a palm tree, a sycamore tree, an olive tree, or an oak tree? What do you think? Shout out your answers. Okay, so if you said a sycamore tree, then you were correct. Well done, it was indeed. Next question. Who came to Zacchaeus' home? Who came to his home? Was it the king? Very important visitor. Was it a man named John? Was it a man named Luke? Or was it Jesus? Shout out your answer now. Who do you think came to Zacchaeus' home? If you said Jesus, you would be correct. Well done. Next question. What was Zacchaeus' status? That means what level of money did he have? Was he very wealthy? Was he just average? Or was he poor? Was he wealthy and rich, an average citizen, or was he poor? Shout out your answer. See if you know the correct answer. He was wealthy. Well done. He was indeed. He was wealthy. Question 5. Zacchaeus was short. Zacchaeus was a midget. Zacchaeus was tall. Zacchaeus was a giant. What do you think? Was he short, midget, tall, or giant? What do you think? He was short. That's the correct answer. Well done. What did Jesus say to Zacchaeus? Did he say, "Come down, you must meet my disciples"? "Come down, I have a proposal for you"? "Come down, I must stay at your house"? Or "Come down, I want to know why you climbed that tree"? Which one do you think it is? You can shout out the colour. If you said orange, "Come down, I must stay at your house," you would be 100% correct. Well done. Question 7. What percentage did Zacchaeus have to give away? Did he give away 1/10 of all of his money? 1/2 of all of his money? 3/4 of his money? Or 2/3 of all of his money? What do you think? If you said 1/2, you would be correct. Good work. I wonder how you did in that quiz. I wonder how many you got out of the 8 questions. If you beat anybody in your house and you were able to beat them, well done for playing along on that quiz. Good work. Now, just a few more questions for you. When you think about that story about Zacchaeus and Jesus, who was it that changed? Did Zacchaeus change or did Jesus change? I think you'd be right if you said Zacchaeus was the one who changed. And how was Zacchaeus able to change? Did he change on his own? Or did Jesus change him, do you think? Before Jesus came, Zacchaeus was just going to continue to cheat people and to take all of their money. But as soon as he met Jesus, something changed within him. Jesus was the one who changed him. We see in Zacchaeus' life that it is only possible with God to do work of change in our hearts. Zacchaeus went from a man who loved money more than anything to a man who loved God more than anything when he met Jesus. The Bible tells us that we are just like Zacchaeus at the beginning of the story. We are sinners and we all love ourselves and our own ways more than we love God. The Bible also tells us that we can't change the truth about ourselves on our own. We can't make ourselves into something that is not a sinner. But the Bible also has good news because we haven't been left to change ourselves. But just like when Jesus came and met Zacchaeus, where he was a lost sinner, Jesus comes and meets us exactly where we are and changes us to be like him. We can change a lot about ourselves, but this is the one thing we can't change. From the very beginning of time, people have needed God to come and rescue them from their sin and to bring them back into a relationship with him. The fact that we can't change our simple hearts on our own reminds us that God is the only one who cannot change. Remember at the start, we found out that he is always going to be the same. He's always going to be loving. He's always going to be caring about us. And like in our story today, he's always going to be trying to change our hearts. If we ask him to, he will do that. Just like Zacchaeus in today's story. Boys and girls, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking part in the quiz. And I hope that you have learned something and that you remember that God never changes. That's an amazing promise that we can hold on to. I hope to see you next week, everybody. Bye.